Hello everybody, this is ZigZagZog coming to you from somewhere in this world. We're back to continue our playthrough of Empire Total War featuring Darthmod and the 40 unit save version. And as Poland, we're making some great strides against Sweden right now. Last episode saw us, well, I won't say they're both amazingly successful, but they were both successful over in Finland. And now we're going to try and wrap up in the same situation so we can work on quickly getting the Swedes kicked out of Denmark. The capital itself is largely, just got its minor garrison, so that'll be easy if we can address this army right here. And we're going to give that a go because I think the path, potentially, of course, we'd have a little problem probably crossing over there from this side with the Swedish Navy right there. But you know, we have our armies over in Finland that can come around the long way if that's going to be what it takes. But the capital itself, Stockholm, largely empty. In fact, why don't we, while I'm sitting here before we start our battle, it's probably pretty open down here, I'm assuming. Let's kind of wander up here and see if we can get a sense. Is there anything up in this direction that we should be aware about that could be reinforcing? No. So with this battle, I'm feeling that we may have dealt quite the blow to Sweden. So let's follow up on our initial victory. A lot of them were able to run away and escape, and we're going to see now if we can finish this army off. And we do outnumber greatly. The success factor is highly in our favor, and we definitely more than double the quantity of their forces. They may have close to the number of units we do, but they're far more depleted than we are, as bad as I think some of our units are. In fact, last time we had Pavel's Imperial Grenadiers do an amazing job, taking heavy casualties, by the way, but standing tall and staying tough. So we'll try not to put them into the immediate thick of things, just so we don't totally wipe them out. But that's what we're looking at. This is what we're looking at. As far as artillery, fairly even. They're depleted a little bit, but then so are we, artillery-wise. So we'll see if we can't address that and then mop up with the rest of this army. We'll see you down there. And here we are. Looks like we have the gentle rolling hills, which will make lines for artillery that much more difficult to position. There's not going to be always clear lines of sight, so I'm going to get figured out where I want to position my artillery to best command the field, and we'll be right back with how our setup ends up looking. Okay, here we're back for the setup on this particular battle. Their setup zone is right over here amongst the hills. For the most part, I took this hill right here because it offers fairly good view of their setup zone over this way. A few little hills here, but more importantly, should they get up close, it's got a clear view, mostly unobstructed view for canister shot to help drive off any nearby and up close infantry action. I kept a fair amount of troops on the wing here. I'm thinking since this is at the edge of their deployment zone, it may not be heavily held, so we're probably going to do more advancing on this side to try to take these heights here to then work down their line from a nice position overlooking their forces. I did split up the artillery. The rest of the artillery is over on a hill position over here, a little farther back. Also being on the hill, giving some decent views. In fact, now that I get down, why don't we move it just a little, perhaps a little farther forward like this, and then I'll feel a little probably more secure that way. And then we have forces on either side to protect it. There is a bit of a gap because of the depth difference, the way our lines, and there's some weird terrain that didn't allow me to make a solid line straight between our artillery forces. So in the middle, we have our depleted, yet highly decorated now, Pavel's Imperial Grenadiers. So we're not looking to get them into the thick of the action, but they're kind of positioned to guard against this gap, along with some cavalry and another regiment of foot, and we'll just see how this develops. Here and there we do have reserve, this unit of grenadiers, and this cavalry in the center will be mobile to be able to help, but I'll be surprised if they can force us that much. So I guess now is the time. Let's get everybody ready to go firing and maneuvering, depending on their setup. And there they are. So I think we are going to try moving forward towards the hills over here and see if we can't secure the high ground on their flank. In fact, I'm thinking of sending some cavalry up there initially to clear the way. And let's kind of get a sense of where their artillery is set up. And it seems to be slightly behind the crest, so I don't know if they're going to get the best angles at us because they're right down behind the hill as opposed to up on the front of the crest. So we shouldn't have to worry too much about their artillery, at least initially. So far they're allowing us pretty much to advance without no conflict. They're not providing any defense of this high ground over here. However, at this point, I think we will stop right here and go square formation. In fact, we'll do it with a couple units over here on the wings, since they're bringing cavalry over in this direction, while the remaining forces go for the heights. And we aren't being too threatened. This cavalry, you know, it's doing the typical run along the front of the lines and let us weaken you down. Okay, we drove this force off. They're wavering now, and we are about, I believe, to drive that one off too. So let's get out of square formation and continue our march to the hill. Okay, they're regrouping here, so we may have to alter our plans again. They regrouped fast. That was the dragoons because they didn't take as much hurt. And we're not going to be quite as set this time. We're a little slow in reacting, but we have plenty of support fire to help out. And now their lines are moving forward into. They're going to advance against our awkward gap over here. So I got to think. I think at this point, the way their line is appearing, I'm going to advance this regiment of foot right here to get some more firepower. They're kind of overloading this side just a little bit. Speed up to see if we can get there in time to help. And they've got in range of these troops here, so now we're firing. Very close range fire between these two lines. And as close as they are, difficult to see through the smoke. But we drove them off. And Pavel, we're going to come and bring your unit over here, as depleted as it is, to kind of get some angled flank fire on this line that is approaching us here. And everywhere else we seem to be holding up. Now we can get out of square formation over here once again and take the heights. However, look at that. These dragoons have been a little ornery. Let's get the regiment of horse in here to drive them off. It's time to get the cavalry out and running them down. Try to charge in before they have a chance to reform over here. And now it's time to get our forces over here. And what have we got? Both of our regimental horse running them down. They will not return. So let's get our remaining flanking move over here. They got definitely got slowed down by their cavalry, but let's get it moving once again. And we'll bring this cavalry unit back in to start running down some units in the rear. And we'll have a few entrenched units in the rear that they love hiding behind the walls that we'll have to pick off one by one. But the main thrust of their attack has ended. We're going to start pushing our line forward. And we'll bring you back here and get you back in a reserve position. Pavel's Grenadiers. We have more cavalry to bring into the fray. We're going to bring them over this way. And continue pushing up on the flank. Kind of keeping in mind that we have line infantry right over here. Now they've come out from behind the walls because our cavalry has come running by, and we're going to keep them running by. They may take some fire, but we're going to see if we can run down some of these regiments. And it's time to get the rest of the line moving. Or the majority of the rest of the remaining line moving. Bring the cavalry into charge here. And we'll have them join from another direction to knock out this troop that is not wavering, that is solid. And we'll continue the rundown shortly. And this group of line infantry is holding up well against our cavalry. But we are encouraged. The enemy will fall. And we're almost in place. Let's just run the last little bit so we can commence firing on these guys. There are not a lot of units remaining on the field. Uh-oh, this one has reformed, a regimental horse. The enemy general has fallen. We'll run these guys down as they retreat. We'll bring some more over to run some more forces down. And the battle is ours. Now I'm wondering, we may not need to chase them down. We're going to take that chance here, or we're going to end the battle without running them down, because I believe this is the army that just retreated, although it might have been more than an episode ago, but I don't know if they'll have the capability to retreat yet again if this is in the same, considered the same turn. So let's just end the battle here and see what the result is. And we lost 528 to their 1762. So they do have 391 soldiers remaining. However, let's find out if they survive as a cohesive unit. Oh, they still get to retreat. And now I'm going to let them go, because we have our protectorate over here that hopefully can find a way to finish the job for us. Now, as far as Hanover, our protectorate, I don't see it in here. Oh, Saxony right here. They are at war with Sweden, so I'm going to count on them to fix the situation over here with these few remaining troops. And then let's take a look at how far we can get. We're going to follow the remainder of our movement up here to get towards the capital, so we can hopefully attack over there next turn. And leave it at that. Now, as far as what else we have left to do, we need to replenish where we can, and I think what we'll do is we'll replenish this army right now, at least as much as we can, and that's going to spend all our funds, because we need almost 10,000 to replenish this army completely. Why don't we cherry pick a little? And Pavel, your brigade needs, yeah, I would say your unit needs some buffing back up. In fact, we'll focus a little on our artillery over here. Mostly, now we'll just let the rest of it randomize. And there's as much as we can. We've spent our wad, we've spent our money to recruit what we can. We shouldn't be in bad shape, because they're probably going to surrender on us with our army moving in, and then we'll have to see what we can do, if there's anything we can do to deal with their forces here that more than likely would prevent us from being able to cross over there. Now I'm just going to take a quick look around the map and make sure there's nothing else I have failed to address this turn. Otherwise, we'll get ready to move on. Okay, so we have a newish rake that we have not sent out, in Poland. So we're going to get him moving, and I think we're just going to send him over towards Russia, because kind of looking at the map, I think conditions are positive for us to control Sweden in the near future. And after that, I'm thinking Russia is our next big target. Yes, we're at war with the Ottoman Empire right now, but I'm not feeling a huge threat for them. Plus, we have that huge army in Istanbul, so if they want to come at us in any other way, they're going to have to do land ashore somewhere and try to approach us that way, and then we'll just be able, we'll just react at that point. We'll not let them do to Morocco. We won't let them do that back to us. So let's move over towards the east. Yep, and that's our turn. As far as our ministers, we're all in good shape. National summary, we're still in the positive, even though we have a fair amount of folks interrupting a lot of our trade. Norway, who are also at war with right now, is blockading some trade from Great Britain. And there's a few things working against us, some of our trade routes. But other than that, we're hanging in there okay. So we are at the point where it's time to move on to the next turn. So let's, I don't know where to keep a lookout. Let's get on to the next turn. We'll see you on the other side. All right, we have an enemy raid right here in Finland. Very well. I don't know that he really moved much, so maybe he has an active spy over here. We also have an enemy raid also over here, and that's looking like a spy, if you ask me. That actually could be my spy that got kicked out because I thought my spy was with their force over here. Interesting. He used to be up here. So my spy is no longer with the army. I think he used to be with this army embedded. So now he's here in the logging camp. We have a new town emerging right here down in Moldavia. And what do we need over here? Let's kind of take a look at what we're dealing with over here. A lot of Islamic influences over here, so I think it's, you know, income-wise, we're hanging in there okay. So I think the biggest thing we could afford to use is a church school. We got some mega converting to do in our newest territories. Another town emerging. This is in Poland-Lithuania, where we do not have the same religious issues that we do elsewhere. We're 62% Catholic. It's not really changing right now from what it's showing, so perhaps we do squeeze in, for the time being, another church school over here. And we're continuing to build up and bulk up our artillery pieces. So let's try, first of all, mopping up some issues here in Finland. And with our funds, newly gained funds, I'm not actually going to do any building or upgrading. We're going to take some time. Well, we got these guys replenishing right now, but we'll need to do more replenishing eventually. How is this force looking? Good. So let's just work on knocking out the remaining remnants of forces over here and make that our initial goal here in Finland. And once we take care of them, we'll be able to start the march around to the Swedish capital. And for this particular one, we're just going to do a straight auto-resolve. And victory. None of their forces remaining. And we're going to continue up this way. Say hi to our rake over here. And we're going to see about getting him moving also. And eventually we're going to send him over in the direction of Russia. I doubt we have much need for a rake anymore up in this particular neck of the woods. You know, I'm going to spend a little to get our mining situation here started. And then we're going to do the same thing with this army. Come right over here to knock out the last of this resistance. And once again, a highly lopsided battle. We have artillery, they don't. We're just going to auto-resolve this particular battle also. And they are no more. So we have a trait gained in this first battle down here. +1 morale in battle, and we gain some traits for our general over here. Confident in battle. And +1 morale and +1 command when leading infantry units. So we have made some good progress here. We're going to get over towards the road so we can more quickly make it over to the Swedish capital. And we're going to see. We have no units, no more units requiring replenishment, so I'm told. We'll repair at this point. We'll repair here. And let's take a look at what we have here. We'll almost have the buildings back in order in Finland. We can't quite move this army out yet, so we're going to keep it here, and then we'll move up to catch up to the rest of the armies as we make a move against the capital. Now, we're going to get... We have a couple of howitzers that we built, and we're going to get them moving to try joining up with these forces too eventually. And now let's take a look back over. In fact, we're going to bring our rake here because we have a pretty good sense that there's no armies sitting over here. We're going to kind of bring our rake over in this direction. Capital is still clear, and we haven't seen anything hiding around in here, so I think we've vastly depleted their forces. Now we do have these two units over here, and unfortunately during the mid-turn, guess what? we got no support from Saxony. They didn't do anything against those units. As far as what my options might be, I do have 2 militia units over here. I have no idea against line infantry, depleted line infantry, how successful a move by these 2 would be. But we're going to ignore that at the moment to see if we can't control and take control of Denmark. We're going to see if they surrender. I believe they will. And we now control Denmark. We're going to take a look at this army and finish building it back up with reserves and reinforcements. It's going to spend most of our funds, but then we're going to build and rebuild where we can. We need to repair here, but I cannot afford it. What else? This will help a little bit with happiness and whatnot, so we can repair here. And the drill school isn't a high priority yet, so let's just see if I have other places requiring repair that could be beneficial to us. And then we're just going to do a little mini battle over here to try and knock out these forces. We're going to see if militia can hold up to these guys. I need to do a little repair on this farm. I thought we had damaged things over here, but apparently not. In fact, to help with growth, we're going to build back up that farm. And what are we looking at? We're looking at a dockyard, which I do not... Well, I guess we're going to have to work on building our navy at some point. So an extra dockyard here and there is not a bad thing. This should be more of a trade port then, yes. And we'll just spend funds there. And now let's just do a little mini battle and see. This one, just because it will probably, very likely, depending on how many forces they have remaining in those units, it could be in their favor. And that opens up my port to some bad things. I guess that's one way to put it. But look what we have over here. We have a force over here. So rather than take my militia over here, why don't we get our artillery? This is our newest, best artillery that we're eventually going to replace out in this army with some outdated artillery and upgrade our army that way. So let's get them moving to do that. And we'll fight ourselves a little quick battle. And the militia is going to be drawn in as reserves. Let's get this going. We'll see you down there. And here we are. It's a snowy battlefield. I'm just going to keep all my artillery because we're not up against much. We're just going to keep them situated where they are. We'll bring our 2 line infantry on either side and advance from there. And we're going to get this thing going. And they're way hidden in the forest, so we're going to advance. Quite a noisy barrage, but you know, given the terrain, it's not a successful barrage. We'll start bringing the militia up. In fact, we're going to see if this unit cannot run to this point now. See if they can take up positions behind the wall before the Swedes approach. And we'll come around their rear through the trees with our other regiment. Come on, guys, take that fence, take that wall. There we go. We're gonna see if we can't run them down through the trees. And we're going to continue to try to make sure they do not return against us. Keep the cannon firing for a little bit longer, and then we will silence all them so we don't explode our own regiments. We have no cavalry, so we may not be able to catch up to them, but we'll give it a go. Well, they put out a little rear guard to go up against us, so we are catching them up. We'll come back after the rundown is complete and let you know the final result. All right, so we weren't able to ultimately catch. We caught some, but we couldn't totally destroy their units. But it's a heroic victory, of course. I said that like, you know, there's nothing else that could have happened. But we only lost 7 to their 111. It does give them 43 remaining, but they're no longer an effective fighting force. So we'll continue our movement forward to get our cannon over here. Now, I don't think we're going to be able to. I do not think, and we may be that we're out of movement, but I don't think because of their naval threat that they have here, it's going to allow us to get across there. So what we may have to end up doing is take a turn to load up our forces ultimately here and just offload along the coast to get into Sweden. That could be a possibility. Now let's see what we're looking at over here as far as army. Nothing significant. As far as navy, extremely significant, at least compared to our meager little navy. So we got to be very careful about transporting across. And yes, their naval power does extend to that strait, so we're going to have to find some alternatives to getting over there. And right now our own navy is blockaded just from the potential of this force here. So we're kind of stuck. It's not like we don't have an answer. It's just not the quickest answer. We got to march. We got to do the long march down the coast of Sweden here to get to Stockholm, the capital, before we can have any hope of knocking them out. Okay, our rake that's in Lithuania right now, we're going to continue his move over toward the Russian frontier. We have a rake in France keeping an eye on things, and also in Alsace-Lorraine, so we get no surprises through our many small country allies in the center from someone like Great Britain or France while we're distracted elsewhere. All right, I see nothing else that we need to accomplish here. We're going to go ahead and do another turn here, just see what develops as we continue our move on Sweden. All right, Spain would like a trade agreement. They offer a lot. They want, and they want a military. You name it, they want it. Oh, we have the trade agreement. They just want a military alliance with us. Well, I see no benefit to these demands. I don't need military access. The payment we're not trading. Okay, we have a new agent, a new rake in East Prussia. And once again, probably that'll give us 3 rakes, or at least 3 rakes in Russia if I send him over there. If it ends up being too many, I'll maybe divert another one south towards the Ottoman Empire. But we'll send him east to start with. And we have our construction report. It's dwindling because we haven't been spending a lot of income onto construction. Natural causes. Who died? A general. Which one? Oh, our general that just took over Sweden over here. So we're going to need to hire a new general into the army. And we'll do it right here. Let's hire a general to replace. And there we go. Now we have a new town that emerges over here in Courland this time. What is the situation in this community? 85% Protestant. So yeah, we're going with the church school to continue our aggressive right here, our aggressive conversion process that's taking place in our territories right now. The Pope should be pleased. And this is down here in Bosnia. Let's go see what the situation is down here. Yeah, we're going to go with another church school down here to help with our conversions down here. Not gaining us a lot of income with these new buildings, but then we still do have a lot of infrastructure that we can work on upgrading that will help our income also. So we'll probably start with Sweden pretty much under control. We'll take a look at that, see if any other surprise battles pop up where we have to replenish soldiers and you name it. Let's get our armies moving. We're going to see if we need some more replenishment. We'll take care of that as we move into Sweden proper for the first time. We have another force over here that should need some more replenishment, and we can afford it. So we're going to do it. Okay, we're going to continue this rake over towards Russia. And let's find out if we can move the army out of here, if the conditions are good enough, and it looks like they are with the state house, whatever it is. Yeah, the magistrate built. It's public order is under control, so we can move out this army to re-merge with our forces over here. So we're going to get that happening. And we'll just do a quick double check. We should be all okay over here in Finland. And we are, barely. So we'll go ahead with this upgrade right here. That'll help. We have a workshop over here. Yeah, we'll kind of build back up this infrastructure over here just a little bit since we're here. And the fur trade. All right. And then we'll come back over here to Copenhagen. We're going to bring this force into... it doesn't look like we can quite reach. But we'll trade out the older artillery pieces over here for the upgraded new 12-pounders that we've built with superior stats. And I don't think we left any more money to upgrade Copenhagen, but that's fine because we won't be moving out of here right away with this force since we can't cross due to their navy parked right there. So our income is still holding strong. Projected wise, trade is about the same situation. We're still getting Great Britain blockaded. I think it's probably still Norway, as a matter of fact. It's just parked over there. Yes, it is. Preventing all the goods from Great Britain getting over to us, United Kingdom getting over to us. So I'm just going to check our lists once again, and more than, well, we'll take a look at that point, depending on what I find. All right, we're going to continue our move of this rake that I found over towards Moscow. We'll finish just sending this guy around just to make sure there's no hidden units over here. And then I don't get the sense that there are. We're going to head over towards the border of Norway because they are technically at war with us, even though they haven't done much against us other than blockading Great Britain. But we're going to start getting some eyes over here because we're going to have to address that soon while we're up here in Sweden. So we successfully consolidated our forces in Copenhagen and took it over. Finland is now totally ours with no forces remaining over here. So we've done a nice job of consolidating this episode. And I hope you enjoyed that process because next episode, it looks like Stockholm is the next target ahead of us. possibly, depending on how smoothly and quickly it all goes, we can also knock out Norway next time too. That's kind of what I'm looking for next time. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. A bit of a break between episodes, and I do apologize for that, but hopefully we can at least come up now with a little bit more of a regular schedule, at least a couple times a week. This is ZigZagZog signing off from somewhere in this world. I want to thank you so much for watching and for your patience, and I do hope to see you next time.